Luke Shaw, why Manchester United star is available to face Watford despite the FA's 14-day concussion guidelines. When Luke Shaw lay prone on the Wembley turf after colliding with Dani Carvajal last Saturday, there was worry around the National Stadium that the Manchester United defender was in for another long injury layoff. Having started the season in good form for his club, Shaw was carried off on a stretcher, wearing an oxygen mask, early in the second half of England's 2-1 loss to Spain. It was later revealed that, thankfully, Shaw was up walking and talking in the dressing room shortly afterwards. England medics ran tests and soon found that he had suffered concussion. He remained under close watch that evening, before being released by the Three Lions to return to United's care on Monday. Since then, Shaw hasn't been involved in full training, with the club's doctors and medical staff keeping tabs on his recovery. FA guidelines state a player who suffers concussion should not play for 14 days. It declares, the graduated return to play (GRTP) protocol should be followed in all cases. This staged program commences at midnight on the day of injury, and Stage 1, initial rest period, is 14 days in all players unless they are in an enhanced care setting. In all cases, progression to Stage 2 of the GRTP can only occur if the player has no symptoms that would rule Shaw out of this weekend's trip to Watford, plus the Champions League clash against Young Boys and next weekend's meeting with Wolves at Old Trafford. But Jose Mourinho says Shaw would be available for United at Vicarage Road. Shaw is set to take a full part in training on Friday afternoon. "I don't know if he will play. We still have a training session," said Mourinho at his press conference. Contrary to some news, to some opinions, by the protocol point of view and according to our doctor, he will be free to play. The only situation we have to analyze is if you are going to play him when, during the week, he was not training with the team, or if, even, he decides to play. The reason Shaw is able to be considered is down to United's state-of-the-art medical facilities being considered as an enhanced care setting. A player, over the age of 19, can return to action fully after 6 days. They must still go through the same 6 stages as the more regular protocol, but in an enhanced care setting each stage comprises one 24-hour period, provided symptoms don't reoccur. According to FA guidelines on players returning to action and enhanced care settings, there are 7 criteria that must be fulfilled for a player to return to action in a shorter time frame. If any element is absent, then a player must wait the full 14 days. The minimum criteria for an enhanced care setting are as follows. There is a doctor with training and experience in the management of concussion, traumatic brain injury in sport available to closely supervise the player's care in GRTP, and clear the player prior to RTP. There is a structured concussion management program in place for the player as outlined below. Baseline SCAT-3 and/or computerized neuropsychometric/cognitive testing of the player has been conducted prior to the injury. Clinical serial multimodal assessment of the player occurs post-concussion to guide the recovery protocol, acknowledging that more than one area of brain function can be affected by concussion. This will involve formal documented assessment of areas such as cognitive function, emotional well-being, neurological function and any physical trauma sustained. A formalized GRTP program with regular SCAT-3 or equivalent assessments is followed and recorded in the player's medical records. The player has access to a multidisciplinary team including neuropsychology, neurology, neurosurgery specialists and other clinicians as required to supervise their return to play and instigate any treatment or investigation required should the RTP progression not be straightforward. A formal and documented concussion education program exists for coaches and players in the club or team involved. With all of those protocols followed, United will therefore be allowed to use Shaw against the Hornets, provided he comes through Friday's training session unscathed. That United's medical staff are fully convinced of his recovery and proves his fitness. Ashley Young, England's left wing-back at the World Cup but on the outside looking in for United so far this term, is ready to deputise.